This is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. I'm here today with a product review of one of my sewing machines. It's in my sewing room that I use in a lot of the videos that I've presented to you over the past year. So one of my viewers requested this, and I'm going to go ahead and show you all the features of this wonderful sewing machine that I love. Now, this sewing machine is from a company called Sailrite. It's an industrial sewing machine and it's portable. So look behind me. Here's a great case for this. The case is actually the thing that makes it portable. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to kind of show you just how heavy it is. It's about 40 pounds, but you can actually pick it up. I don't really have a problem picking it up and taking it and transporting it anywhere. So it comes with this really great case. Now, the machine itself is orange. It's not all that sexy, but it's all metal. Everything on the inside of the machine is metal. There are only 3 parts that are plastic. So one is the thread tension control knob. The other one is the flywheel, which is an auto grade plastic, so it's really heavy duty. And then the other one is your foot control. So your foot control is plastic as well. And you might be wondering, you know, it's portable. Is it going to move around on me? Well, no. I mean, it is really heavy. It's on the table. And you know what? I keep the machine itself in the bottom of the case, and it really kind of makes it so you can't move it too easily. So I researched for about a year before I went ahead with the purchase of this machine, and I did purchase it. I am not sponsored by Sailrite in any way, shape, or form. I just want you to have the same experience that I did in really being happy with a purchase. But one of the great things about this industrial sewing machine is that you don't need a degree to actually go ahead and thread the machine. When you first get the machine, it's already threaded for you, and they have some test strips underneath the presser foot for you to just see what the performance of the machine is and how well it actually sews through different thicknesses of fabric. So that's one thing to look forward to. So you'll get a spool of thread, and the spool of thread is a thick thread like they use in industrial sewing machines, and it'll already be done for you, and you can kind of follow along how they did it if you want to change out the color. So one great thing too is that it handles thread like this that you can get at your local fabric store. I use this for sewing jean hems. And then you can also put in some monofilament thread, polyester thread, nylon thread. This is the stuff that I use for my upholstery work because it's a clear thread, it's very stretchy, and it blends in with any kind of upholstery piece that I'm working on. You don't need to purchase additional colors. So that's really a great thing. So you also need some oil to go ahead and oil the inside. Now, I do this once a year only, and I probably should do it more often, but you know what? Since it's not outside in the elements like maybe a sailboat owner would put it, I really don't need to do it more often than that, and it's worked really, really well for me. So don't get intimidated by that process. It comes with a booklet, shows you where everything is, and it also has a lot of schematic drawings in here. It shows you every single component on the inside of this machine in case something breaks down and you need to fix it. Guess what? Call them up on the phone and somebody's going to walk you through the procedure if you explain what's going on. So customer service, at least for me, has been really wonderful. I've never needed any repair on this machine in the 8 years that I've owned it. So my kinds of questions are the questions of, hey, what kind of thread do I use with what kind of fabric and what needle type? And they'll tell you all that stuff over the phone really quick and easy if you can't find it yourself in this booklet. So the other thing is it comes with a DVD that tells you exactly all the features of this machine itself, kind of walking you through how things work. And then there's also an advanced maintenance DVD. In case you're having issues, you can go ahead, pop this in, and maybe see exactly what's wrong and maybe how to repair it yourself. So you see, I have a spool holder here. This also comes with the machine. You do have to put it together. And I have some bonded polyester threads. So you can kind of see here, they're all labeled. You get these through the Sailrite company as well. And mine is a DB92. Now, the higher the number, the thicker the thread. So you see the thickness of the thread here. So I'm going to put a sock over the top of this because it's going to prevent this from kind of unraveling. So the only specialty items that you need to operate this sewing machine are some specialty needles. So the ones on the left are for a household sewing machine, and the ones on the right are for this industrial sewing machine. So they're a little bit longer, and they come in all kinds of different tips depending on what kind of fabric that you're sewing through, and that's referenced in their catalog, which I'll tell you exactly which ones to buy and use for whatever project you're doing. But it does actually accept a normal bobbin. So this is something that you get with a household sewing machine. So if you have these in your sewing room already, you don't need to purchase anything unusual. That's what you're going to use. So if you're starting out like I am, you're going to run this thread through the thread guide just like I did along the top, and then you're going to run it through the bobbin tensioner, and you'll kind of see it's going to click in place when you do that. And then you're going to take the end of your thread that you've kind of fished through here, and you're going to put it into one of the empty holes along the top of the bobbin. So I'm running this through just like so. So here's the post for the bobbin. I'm just going to push it on there, and you'll kind of see it's going to spring in place like that. You're going to hear a click, and then you're going to push it over to this white plastic piece just like that. Now let's talk about this flywheel here. So you've got this posi pin that provides you with the ability to just go ahead and disengage from regular sewing. If you're running out of thread in the middle of a project, you can go ahead, leave your thread in place, pop another separate cone over here, and do this thing and zigzag it around, pull your posi pin out, push it into the very center piece here just to hold it in place, just all it is, so you don't lose it. Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to pull up on this thread, and you're going to press the foot. Okay, so now that's done, and you'll see the correct way that you want to wind this bobbin is so that you have about 1/16 of an inch of metal that you can see along that bottom, and that's pretty much what I have, so that's really perfect. So as you were watching this happen, you can kind of hear what my secondary complaint about this machine is, and it's that it's very loud. So you really do need ear protection while you're using this. Just be aware of that. You know, it may be noisy if someone is trying to sleep, or it might be noisy if you have a neighbor on the other side of the wall that you're working. So let's go ahead and insert this bobbin into the case. Now, in order to get that thread to come up through, we need to take our posi pin after we've done our bobbin winding and take it out of that center pin and move it back into one of those holes on the flywheel until it pops in place. So you could just go ahead and kind of move this around, and you can kind of hear that. It kind of pops in place just like that. So now the flywheel is engaged, and we can move this by hand, and you'll see the needle kind of moving. So what I'm going to do here is take the thread, push it through, pull it up, and take something to fly underneath there and pull this out. So now I've got my two tails. This is just like a normal sewing machine at this point. So we're ready to go ahead and sew, which is the exciting part. Now, if you want to take advantage of using spools like this that you get at your local fabric store, what you're going to use is the thread guide, and you're just going to use that corresponding hole in the bottom of the spool, load that on, make sure the thread comes off the back of the spool, and then you're just going to thread the machine the exact same way you did with the other thread. Now, this machine allows for a highly customizable experience depending on what kind of fabric you have feeding through the machine. You can adjust thread tension, you can adjust the pressure on the presser foot, you can adjust the pressure on the feed dogs below, and you can also adjust the length of the stitch. Now, the length of the stitch in this upper position is the longest length, which is really the preferred length. That looks really nice on most projects that you're going to do that are heavy duty. You can adjust this down to second below the bottom, and that's going to give you a very short stitch, which looks nice on different projects too. And if you press it all the way to the bottom, you're going to stitch in the reverse direction, which is really a great feature of this machine, so that when you're sewing, you can kind of lock off that last stitch by moving backwards and then forwards again. But I'll demonstrate that too. And the other great thing about it is it has a dial on it, so if you really want to keep a certain length on your stitches, you can just go ahead, dial that in, and this is not going to move through the whole remainder of your project. So that's really a great feature of this machine, and it's one of the things I really love about it. Now this machine is just going to do a straight stitch, just like I did here. So I did a test stitch before I went ahead and showed you what was going on. Now the other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is this is a walking foot. So what this walking foot means is that there's pressure along the bottom with the feed dogs, and then there's pressure along the top with the presser foot itself. So these kind of work together and push the fabric through so that you're not going to get puckering, and it's going to go over big giant humps if you're going through 2 layers of fabric to 8 layers of fabric or something like that. And you'll see just how amazing this thing is. It pulls the fabric through nice and evenly. And now you'll see you can stitch off the fabric, which is something that you can't do with some regular sewing machines. Now these factory settings might not be perfect for every kind of fabric, but you know what? It's perfect for most. So this is a heavy kind of velvet. So look at that, just a beautiful seam. It looks very professional. All of the stitch lengths are the same length, and hopefully you can kind of see that on camera. They're all the same length. Looks beautiful when you pull it out. So if this were an upholstered piece, this would look really, really professional from the front. So this is the ultimate test. You know, this is the fabric that I used on that cocktail ottoman that I built from the ground up. And this is really like a sisal fabric. And so it's a kind of like a twisted rope on the front side, but on the back, they have this kind of backing on it that kind of holds it all together. So it's really thick. It's almost kind of sticky, if you will, on the back. So you know it's really a thick fabric. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fold this onto itself so that we have several layers going here. Here goes. Let's see how it makes this nice jump with that walking foot. Look at that. Didn't skip a beat. Looks beautiful, front and back. I'm sorry that you can't kind of see that. You know what? The stitches got a little bit smaller right in here, but you know what? I really wasn't paying attention. So if you do it nice and slow, I think you'd get better results. So here is just a regular seam stitch, and I have not tied off the ends here, and you can see how easy this is to pull apart. So this reverse feature that I was talking about is really a wonderful time saver. There's no tying off of any ends. So you're starting your forward stitch, you push this all the way down to the bottom, go back to the top, and you can even do this on the fly, so let's demonstrate that. So look at that. This is such a super strong seam. You're never going to be able to pull that apart. This reverse feature really makes this seam invincible, and you won't have to tie anything off, and it's a huge time saver. So we're looking at the needle right here. This is the presser foot, and what I want you to take note of here is the presser foot itself has this concave area underneath it. So it really makes it perfect for running this cotton cording underneath it, or really any kind of cording that you have, and it'll fit right in that concave area like so. So when you're making cotton cording welting pieces, you're going to go ahead and flip over your fabric. So you're sandwiching that piece of cotton cord in between the 2 layers of fabric with the right side facing out. You're going to line this up so that the needle is going to hit right along the edge of that cotton cord. You can kind of feel it, and it's going to insert directly into that concave area. So you can see there's the stitch line. All the stitches look beautiful. It's right up next to this cotton cording, and this is ready to staple on any piece of furniture that you're going to upholster. So I have a heavy duty zipper here, and this is the kind of zipper you're going to use in any upholstered piece of furniture for the cushions or pillows. And so there's a quick and easy way to insert a zipper into that type of cushion. So let me just show you here. I've got right sides together on my fabric, and I'm just going to make a seam so that you can kind of see how this is going to lay in place. So there's your seam opened up, and you can see it's a nice consistent stitch all the way down the center. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open this up, and I'm going to work from the back side at this point. And so I'm lining up the center of the teeth with the actual center of the seam. And so this is just going to lay in place like this. It's going to the right hand side of the presser foot, and I'm just going to line that edge up with the edge of the teeth. And that shows up really well on the black, and it's a beautiful, nice, even stitch. And so then we're just gonna go ahead on the other side and do the exact same thing. Now this is really the greatest part of all of this. Raise your presser foot, move it over, and you can slowly stitch over the teeth. It's going to separate them and make a beautiful stitch all the way across. Now you're going to need to pull it a little bit on the back so it doesn't get caught up. So let's just do nice and slow, and it's going to make a beautiful seam. So look at that. On the back side, it's just beautiful. You can kind of see how well that sewed through everything. I'm going to flip it over. It looks just as nice on the front. So then I'll take a seam ripper and I'll just run it down the center here, open this up, and there I have a beautifully inserted zipper. So what's the takeaway on this machine? You know, this machine will do household sewing. All you have to do is adjust your tension and make sure that your pressure is lightened a little bit. It'll handle lightweight fabric. But you know what? I don't use mine for that. I have other machines that I use for that, so that I can kind of keep them in my sewing room, set up, ready to go at a moment's notice, so I'm not making all those adjustments. So if you have a machine like this, just make it in addition to what you already have, and you'll be all set to go for the heavy duty projects. And you know what? I went through 3 sewing machines in 4 years because I was making the mistake of pushing heavy duty fabric underneath a presser foot that wouldn't raise high enough to accommodate it, and I was making burrs all over that bottom plate because I was hitting it every single time with a needle. Couldn't get replacement parts, and so they went straight to the trash. So this one, American made, parts are available, they're not going anywhere. This is a quality machine that I know is going to last you years and years to come. You will be so happy that you made this purchase. This is the Sailrite sewing machine. Comes in a straight stitch and a zigzag version. I think either one would be great for you, but mine, I love it. I would never part with it, and I think you're going to feel exactly the same way, especially after seeing how easy of a demonstration this was. The machine did all the work. I barely did anything. So this is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. Thank you so much for watching this product review, and I'll bring you another great one in the future. And please, if you have a comment about this video or you'd like more information somehow, please send me a note, let me know, and I'll get right back to you.